What's up? Rob, you got something?
I do, but I'm with Bill, so I'll get a microphone. Coach, you know, you kind of harped on your guys' defense on Wednesday. You hold Georgia to 32% shooting, 1 of 20 from three-point range. Did you like what you got on that end?
You know, we had a week off, and Monday and Tuesday we went back to somewhat of like a little bit of a mini camp sort of thing, and Wednesday off, and we came back in Thursday. And yesterday, you could just really tell the guys were really wanting to play, and you could really feel that. And I thought today Kyle Alexander been as good as he's been. You know, he came out and really had a presence early on the defensive end and rebounding the ball. I think he had a career high today, rebounds. And you know, we know we're going to try to go inside, and obviously the foul situation changed a little bit of the game, but defensively we were able to get stops and start get out running with it, getting into transition. And so overall you look at it, but again, with the foul trouble they got in, they were having to work through that, which is tough for anybody. And because they had, what, 3 or 4 guys pick up 3 or 4 fouls early, and so that definitely changed. But we went in and we were trying to do that, put pressure on the rim and see if we could get to the foul line.
Corey, then Troy, then Mike.
Just looking at the box score, do you think this is Jordan Bowden's most impactful performance of the season?
Well, first time I took him out, I actually said to him, I said, if you're not going to play the way you practice, we're not going to play you. And because he turned down some shots early. And again, it's really a very delicate, fine line there, because everyone knows we're wanting to go inside our players, but there's certain guys that when they're open, they know that, and he's one of those guys that he almost had a turnover where he tried to force it. He actually did have a turnover. I don't know who they gave it to, but the turnover that he threw underneath the basket wasn't there. And but yeah, I thought he came back and just let the offense work for him. You know, he did his work early. He came off screens looking to attack areas that he's very effective with, and but he's got to continue.
Rick, when was the decision that Lamont would be able to come back? When did that all happen?
Today. We didn't know about it. You know, he had been doing a little bit. He started out the week doing some things where we really weren't real competitive. You know, just I don't, you know, more like 3-on-0, 4-on-0 things that we do. And then he did jump in the shell drill when the first one where we start doing some. And Chad, and then yesterday he practiced a little bit, and he knew he was going to work his way back in. But Chad actually told me yesterday, he said, you know, he did more and he wanted to do more than I really wanted him to do, but he said he feels good. And he said we're going to wait till tomorrow and see when he wakes up and see how he feels. And they shoot around. He came in and I think he started feeling like he was ready to do it. But really, it wasn't until after shoot around where we thought that he just said, I think I want to try to do it. And hasn't had a lot of practice. I thought he handled himself well. You know, he went in and, you know, we've been pretty good, but we can't get to our full potential without him. And so now we got to get him. And he's worked hard at trying to keep himself in condition. You know, he comes back. He's one of those guys that will come back at night and run and do. But there's nothing like actual playing time. And I think that he'll, again, and he's older and he'll work his way back in it. I think he's learned a lot by sitting out watching. I do. I think he sees that. But it was good. It was great, and I think everybody was excited to have him back on the floor today.
There was a sequence there for Kyle near the end of the game. You guys were up 43. He kind of dove for a pass in transition, knocked it away, then drew a charge. Did that kind of sum up the team's effort today?
It was, yeah. Again, I thought Kyle was terrific. You know, I do. I think that what his attitude coming out, being locked in, and they're strong, and they're an athletic team, and they run some good stuff. They're a well-coached team, but I do think that effort and where we're breaking it loose and we're playing hard, and we know that we've got to try to make every possession count. And as a player, as individuals, you got to do that. And the better that, and the more that he can do that and show that consistency, we can continue to get better as a team.
Grant, Jimmy, and Wes.
When Lamonte tried to go earlier in the season, you said if he wasn't going to be more effective than that, there's no reason to try to play him. Did you feel like he was more effective than that?
Yeah, because I think early in the season, you know, I think he was trying to be really overly aggressive on the offensive end, and I think honestly, I think he was trying to proved to himself that he could do some things and work through the pain that he was dealing with. And all I've told him from the beginning, you don't ever have to shoot to be a good basketball. He's a good basketball player. He doesn't have to shoot it. He doesn't have to force anything, because when he's really playing well is when he's really thinking the game. And but as a player, I mean, you know, in his mind, like, what do I do when I am open? And that's what he's had to work through, you know, because he's a guy that, you know, he by nature, he's aggressive. He's going to be aggressive, but that was his thought process, was the fact that if they realize I can't shoot it, I'm not going to be able to drive it either. And then how effective can I be? And I actually told him, I think he can be effective any way you want to play, because I think he can really be effective defensively. I think he can really pass the ball when he really locks into doing that. But it goes back, we've trusted him, and he's got to have a mind. You don't want anybody that's not out there thinking that they can play without a free mind, really.
Rick, Georgia was 1 out of 20 on threes. How much was that attributed to your defense, and was that a point of emphasis going into the game?
Not really. I don't know if they wanted to shoot that many threes, because, you know, they're really a hard driving team, and our emphasis was more on really trying to contain the dribble as much as we could and try to stay in front of the ball. And that, I've told you for weeks, we've tried to work at that, trying to do that and not foul. But and then some of those threes came at the end of shot clocks. I'm not sure what Tom would say about shooting that many threes, but obviously they had a tough day. I mean, I've been on that side too, where you had some looks and it just won't go in. And but when I look at it, again, you know, we always try to contest those shots, but they had some looks that it didn't go down for them. And obviously they're a better shooting team than they played today. And I mean, that team is capable. They're going to win games in this league. And today, you know, we've just had a really good performance, and things went our way.
Rick, when guys like Bowden and Kyle are going to be as more aggressive as they were today, how much more does that open up the floor and make y'all tough to guard and make it hard for people to kind of focus so much on Grant and Admiral?
Well, I mean, obviously, the more options you have, the harder you are to guard. And you know, the fact that we moved the ball, I think we had, 25 assists today, and movement and players. And we really don't go into games, we never have, saying we know we want to play inside out. We got some things when we want to isolate a certain player. We did it today. When they went to their little matchup zone, the first thing we did was put Admiral inside. So we're going to run a little cut to get him in there and let him stay there. But I think the more options you have when teams get ready to play, you want them to say, look, you got to guard this guy, you got to guard that guy. You just can't, because there's going to be some game. The key going forward is going to be, you know, how are we going to handle it when we're not shooting the ball well? How are we going to handle it when we're not playing as well as we're capable of? Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And so it's going to be, can we stay within ourselves? Can we continue to run the offense that we need to run? And I mean, we missed some shots early. I mean, we had a couple layups at the rim that we missed, and that can really snowball on you. But we, again, I think the more options you have, the better off you'll be.
Finish up with Charlie, Steve, and Brent.
Coach Derek Walker played for 10 minutes, had 5 points. What did you think of his play today?
You know, Derek, we talked to him yesterday about just being the player that we know that we recruited, a guy that can be aggressive, it can be physical, it can rebound, it can run, and so I think he really can. And we have confidence in him. We just need Derek, we need Jalen. We have confidence in all those guys just to do their job, take care of their assignment. But I thought he came out yesterday's practice, and it was 2 days ago we talked, because he came out yesterday and had a really good practice, was very physical, was very competitive as we were working on what we needed to do today. And I thought today he came out and really tried to lay it out there.
It's been a full calendar year since y'all have lost at home now. Just how critical was that establishing the home court, building what you're trying to build, and what's been the difference this last year in terms of playing so much better at home?
Well, again, I think as a team we've grown, we've gotten better, and we've got a great fan base. And, you know, this, I mean, again, today, a great atmosphere here, but it has been a building process. I mean, you guys know it more than me. I mean, I've said from the beginning, I appreciate our fans, even 4 years ago when we were struggling to get things going. And the question is, at home, you can't take it for granted. You just can't think because you're going to play at home, you can walk out there and it's going to happen. And But the fact is, these guys have worked hard, and again, they've just grown as a team, and that's winning at home has been a byproduct of that, obviously. But you can't take it for granted. I can tell you that just being at home thing is just going to happen because it won't.
Coach Crean was in here a minute ago saying he wasn't sure what he was to get out of his team because he hadn't been around them long enough. With this team and a veteran, how comforting is it to know last night, hey, my team's ready to play, and to know that you guys were going to come out ready to go, what you were going to get today? You know,
that's a great question, because as coaches, I can tell you, I can go back 20 years ago, and my strength and conditioning coach or whoever before the game warm-ups, they'd come in the locker room when I was back there by myself. And I can remember Todd Wright would say to me, man, I think they're really ready to play, and we'd lay an egg. And then he'd come in and I said, what do you think? And then we finally just, the answer now is, we don't know. And but yesterday's practice, I've seen us have good practices and not play well. I've seen us have bad practices the day before. And I say bad, just the focus. But yesterday, you could just tell they wanted to practice. You could just tell it. And we didn't want to leave it out there. And you could tell they were wanting to get up and down the floor. And so we just cut it short. But then when we, again, the same day today, when Garrett walked in, I said, what do you think? And he let, I don't know. You know? And maybe that's not wanting to jinx what's going on, but it's just yesterday there was a high level of energy, and you could just tell they wanted to play yesterday. And so we just, and really as a coach, you want to, that's when it's fun on the practice floor, when you see it clicking like that. But we just, because of what we had done earlier in the week, we just knew we had to get them off the court, and we've got a quick turnaround going to Missouri.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.